Welcome back to the Cannabis Community Project.
Welcome to the Cannabis Community Project.
Herbbox is an independent, organic company bringing style and class to the cannabis community with an exquisite, superior, handcrafted, medical, and recreational container for the consciously cultural professional and the stiletto stoner. Visit our website at herbbox.com. That's HERBBOXX.com and inquire about any future career opportunities. Also, be sure to like us on Facebook.
Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Cannabis Community Project. This is Brainstorm, once again bringing you your weekly podcast from the CCP studios high up in Denver, Colorado. You're exploring the business side of this newly emerging economy, focusing on the patient, the retailer, to the geek in the garage, creating that next innovation in cannabis. This is the first media platform to help fellow Cannapreneurs build sustainable businesses. Hey, Cannapreneurs, welcome and thank you for joining once again. Thank you for holding out for these last couple weeks. I had to go away and do some very important stuff, like drive through the Grand Canyon, go to Las Vegas, all the stuff that every now and then you got to do. But for those of you who hung out, we have a great show. This is another full live show. We have a couple guests lined up. We're going to speak to Josh Miller from CCX out in Seattle, giving us the lowdown on what's going on out there. Or low down or down low? I think it's down low on the DL. He's going to tell us all about what's going on. We got some reports that they're trying to shut down all the dispensaries up there, and he doesn't deny that. So he will give us firsthand experience of what is happening there. We're also going to have a brief introduction to our new associate producer, Syndicate. Syndicate has been helping us out these last couple weeks. He's going to be taking on a bigger role. He's been manning the blog page and doing all sorts of stuff for the show. And he's also raised some money for the show. You know, speaking of raising money, for those of you who haven't heard by now, I have an Indiegogo campaign out there. It's a crowdfunding campaign trying to raise a few bucks so we can get some more equipment, buy some passes into some events this year, and make sure we have some proper marketing, apparel, and materials. So honestly, if you're listening to this show, I mean, the minimum donation is like $9 and it goes from there. There's a lot of cool stuff. I know there's a lot of you listening. I know a lot of you support the show. Please support us so we can continue doing this. Indiegogo, Cannabis Community Project. And of course, it's all from the webpage, social media, and everything else. We have a lot of shows that we're lining up over these next couple weeks. And we also have the blog page that's going to accompany most of those shows now. So we have a text form going with the audio form. Our YouTube channel is going to be vamping up. You know, I've had 4 individuals contact me this last week who want to be part of this show. We're going to see how they work out. But this show is growing and you can be part of it too. You ever wanted to be part of a podcast? You ever want to be part of the cannabis industry? You like business? Well, you can merge all those together right here. This is the show to do that. We can do media, we can do cannabis, we can do business, we can do it all, and we can be at the forefront of what's happening, not just here in Colorado, but nationally and worldwide. Cannabis Community Project is your show. I'm just the host of it. I'm not going to do any long blabbering rants this week because we have a lot of good conversation coming up. So we'll save the long ranting for another time. But like always, let's make sure to do a quick short-term memory flashback relap, move into this week's show, and continue on with what will be the world-dominating Cannabis Community Project. Thank you, community, for joining us once again on the CCP Radio Show. The Cannabis Community Project has been around for almost a year and a half now. We've come a long way, and thank you for sticking with us. If you've been here from the beginning, you've seen how this community is coming together, and now it's time to take it to the next level. And to do that, we got to put together a campaign that allows people to have everything they want in media. So I've chosen Indiegogo for people to give a few bucks of their time and money to the show, help it grow, and allow us to make an impact in the world. You see, I want to crowdsource this show, and together we're going to discover the thousands of different businesses from which individuals have obtained employment and opportunities. There are going to be thousands of businesses once hemp production begins. Together we can help each other. We can help each other get up and growing or just get started in business. This is just as much an issue for those retiring as for those just now entering the workforce. It's time to get involved and show the world how to take those wasted expenditures on jails, courts, hospitals, and shift them to the new economy of shops, farms, and fabrication, all taxed and positively industrialized. Join me building a show for and by like-minded people. Donate now, receive your incentive, be part of the community, the Cannabis Community Project. If you have an idea, a business, perhaps just some thoughts about cannabis, contact me. I want to hear from you. I want to discuss these issues: health, food, music, growing, technology, business, everything else. CCP. Hey, Cannapreneurs. This week's show is sponsored by Dairy Berry's Recording Studio.
The Constitution says that we have the right to consume cannabis.
This is what happens when you call the cops. Say what? This is what happens when you call the cops. Come on. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops.
Yes.
This is what
All right.
happens when you call
From the Cannabis Community Project, starting on Facebook.
How's it going?
Good, I'm doing good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am Little Tree. I am with iBake Denver LLC. We're iBake Denver, and we also own iBake Inglewood and iBake Lakewood.
You guys kind of do multiple things, correct?
So yes, iBake itself, iBake LLC owns iBake Radio. We have a little radio station that plays 24-hour, 7 days a week music on their website. We have 2 locations at the Pipe and Tobacco Shop that you can smoke weed at. They're members only, so you have to get a membership to come in, and it costs $10 a month to join. You get 10% off all the glass at all of the smoking locations. We have like pipes, bongs. You just have to bring your own wax or weed. We have another location in Lakewood. You can't smoke there because of city ordinances, because Lakewood right away put into their law that you can only consume cannabis in a personal home, not any kind of business, so we couldn't do that. So we just opened a 24-hour pipe and tobacco shop, and even has a drive-thru. So if you have a bong emergency, 3 a.m., that's where you go.
Cool.
I remember I used to work the night shift, so I used to have pipes get broken like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and there was nowhere open till 10 o'clock. So when they said, well, we can't smoke here, I'm like, that's fine, 24-hour pipe and tobacco shop.
Excellent. So a lot going on. And what I saw the other day was a post on Facebook talking about the city. Is it the city of Denver or Inglewood? Who is it?
It's Inglewood, actually.
Inglewood. Okay. So they're sending you letters. What specifically have they done up to this point?
Well, what happened is we went in and we were very upfront and honest when we went and got the license to open, because you have to get like all your little licenses to open your business. And we told them this will be our second consumption location. We're going to smoke weed there. We told them exactly how it worked. They gave us permission to go ahead and open, and we did. And then within 2 weeks, if not sooner, they had an emergency city council meeting that one of our awesome members noticed that they had called this emergency meeting about the cannabis consumption clubs. And we're like, oh, so we should go down there. And they had expressed that they had a complaint from the restaurant next door that they could smell weed. But by that point, we had already put over $10,000 into ventilation, and they had a problem on their side of their wall, which was the whole problem. We paid ourselves to get that all fixed. So we made it so the restaurant next door has no smell issues at all, and they're all friendly with us. They grandfathered into the city ordinances that cannabis consumption sites could not be open for 6 months, but they did grandfather iBake Inglewood in and said it was fine if we continued to open. They had 2 city council members come down to the shop. They've had them go next door to businesses surrounding us and stuff to see how we operated. I mean, we were really open and honest. We even invited them down. Everything was cool. And then last week, out of nowhere, our landlord gets a phone call basically stating that they were trying to make sure that we weren't doing anything illegal and that he was comfortable being our landlord, basically kind of trying to test the waters to see if they could ask the landlord to ask us to leave. Our landlord went and had a meeting with them, said that we were great tenants, and the city council basically said that they're going to allow us to continue to operate, but they've got 3 complaints from us from surrounding businesses about selling marijuana. And at the times that they're getting these complaints, either we're not open or no one was consuming at that time because no one was even really there. Mm-hmm. So we're not quite sure who is making the complaints or why. So we've decided to start a little email campaign of positive. If you've been to iBake Lakewood or iBake Inglewood or iBake Denver, just write Inglewood City Council and let them know, hey, this has a positive impact on the businesses around us. It's not negative. We like it, you know? We were told that they were going to let us continue to operate. They will we'll be sending in undercovers here and there, and there will be a police presence occasionally to make sure that we are following the law and the rules. So that kind of irritates me.
Now, are these complaints public documented type complaints that are in a public document somewhere that you can actually pull the complaint and read what was actually written?
I do not know. I've never seen anything in proof. The only complaint they had at first, which we did know about, was from the restaurant next door. But once we got next door, because they weren't even connected buildings, so we were trying to figure out how can they even smell if the buildings aren't really connected. Then we discovered there was actual major holes in their side that had busted into our side that people didn't even know about. So we ended up fixing a lot of damage that they didn't even know about that probably saved a lot. They said that we fixed one of their ventilation problems because they couldn't figure out why their ventilation wasn't working properly. It was the only complaint that originally was made. So anything after that, we are totally in the dark about and confused. Because honestly, the building next door to us is a tattoo shop, and they smoke weed out back. So I don't see them complaining about, hey, there's a shop that smokes weed. And then the resident that lives behind where the shop is has lived in Inglewood for 17 years and is a member of our shop and is so thrilled that we opened. I mean, she walks across her alley every day. So we're really confused what business is complaining about smelling weed when none of the businesses around us have a problem with it.
Now, is this an issue where you could lose your license to operate altogether?
Yes, if they deem us a nuisance, it will force our landlord to kick us out and lose the license to operate the business.
What is your recourse in this? Do you have an attorney that's fighting it? Are you...
Right now, there's really nothing to fight because they're saying they're going to let us continue to operate. We're grandfathered in. They're just going to have more watching us more closely than other businesses. So right now, the only thing that I can do is have people email the city council and tell them that we're positive. Because right now, all we're hearing is there was 3 complaints against you. Well, let's make it so there's a lot of positives against us, because right now it looks like it might be just one of the council members out of 7 that really doesn't like us. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're dealing with 1 possible council member that might not approve of us and 3 complaints. We can deal with that with positive reinforcement of people emailing or calling and saying, hey, this business has helped my business. Having our printer who lives in Inglewood already writing him emails and calling, letting them know, hey, this has already generated business for my shop. So that's the only recourse we have now. Now, if they start being more aggressive towards us, a lawyer will go from there and tell us where to go.
Right. Yeah.
Because right now we don't really have a recourse. They haven't really done anything except for bully our landlord and our neighbor next door a little bit and be like, do you guys like these guys? If you don't, we'll help you get them out. Since we're cool with our neighbors, that's not a problem.
Well, harassment. I don't think any business should have to deal with harassment, even if it's coming from a city or a government official. Standard protocol for government to just harass businesses.
Exactly. That's the one thing. We're documenting everything. So if the harassment does consent to or discrimination, I mean, like I said, there is literally a tattoo shop next door to us and a couple bars across the street. I don't see city council members and local authorities going into their shops just to make sure no illegal activity is going on or no underage drinking and no underage tattooing. They're leaving them alone.
All right, what is the legality here? Is this the city of Inglewood specifically giving this permission to have a smoking lounge in Inglewood, or is this a state, something from an amendment or a constitutional thing?
The Constitution says that we have the right to consume cannabis. So we've found the legal way that we can consume in a pipe and tobacco shop. We're just members only. Like, we don't allow the public coming in. So therefore, since we don't let the public just come in and chill out, they have to be a member to come in. We're not a public place,
Right.
so we're not consuming in public. So we're already following Colorado constitutional law. But it's Inglewood themselves that had no problem until they got a couple complaints. The city council of Inglewood is the one who's doing all this.
Mm-hmm.
Who's giving us the problem.
So if
Like,
they have...
we've been open in Adams County, the iBake Denver location on Washington. We've been open there for almost 2.5 years, and we've never had any problem.
Right.
Never.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have a cigar shop right around the corner from where I live, where every day when you walk by there, there's a group of people sitting around smoking cigars. That's a public store. Anybody can walk in there. So I'm not really sure if they, become more aggressive where they're going to actually go with it. So, I mean, I guess if they send undercover cops in, they're having to come in as members, right? They still have to sign up. And
Yes, they have to. They've shut down multiple shops this way. Like, they had POTUS.
Yeah.
That was shut down because of the undercover cops who came in and got a membership and all that kind of stuff. So we're used to, I'm sure iBake Denver has had multiple undercover cops coming in there. The only difference between our shops and a lot of the other shops that I've got closed is we do not allow any kind of cannabis sales at all.
Right.
Not for donations, not for exchange, not for caregiver, nothing. So that's their big thing. So they're just coming in to make sure, one, we're not allowing people to sell weed there.
Right.
And two, they're going to be going into businesses surrounding us to make sure we're not making families smell weed.
Right.
And that's only their big concern right now.
Right. So it's a bring your own type setup. It's a private club, bring your own, consume on premise, inside a facility, and then all you have to be is 21, right?
Yeah, you have to come in, you be 21, show your ID to prove it you're 21. They have a membership form that you fill out that has name, birthday, talks about what the membership included, and various little marketing things. And then you pay the $10 for the month, and then you're allowed to come into all the iBake locations. It gives you 10% off all of the glass at the cannabis consumption sites. It lets you use all the bongs and rigs and papers. There's always complimentary papers out and that kind of stuff. So,
what are the operating hours?
We're open noon to midnight.
Okay.
Monday through Thursday, and then 10 a.m. to midnight on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And you have 3 locations currently?
Yes, there's 3 locations.
So aside from somebody not being 21, what other way could you possibly do something illegal with this type of setup where the city could, revoke a license or deem you a nuisance?
Like if we allowed cannabis sales or donations there.
Oh, okay.
The fact that it's bring your own cannabis or bring your own wax is what is making it so that we are operating legally.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I'll definitely have to come down and check it out.
You tell them where you're from and everything.
Cool. So from this point on, what are we trying to get people to do? Send emails, make phone calls?
Yeah, letters, emails, phone calls, saying positive things about iBake Inglewood to the City Council of Inglewood. And that's basically what we're needing the most of right now, is positive reinforcement. Information's up on our Facebook pages. It's iBake Denver, iBake Inglewood, or iBake Lakewood. And it's on our website at ibakedenver.com.
Excellent. Well, let's hope hundreds and thousands of people send those letters, because
I would love to flood them with positive versus 3 negatives that they've heard.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we definitely need more areas that people can go to consume, whether it's public or private. People are just fighting against that tooth and nail. They just don't want to let it happen. So you guys have to fight for everybody else. It's kind of the way it goes. But if you're successful, then other people will be more confident in opening places, and then very quickly there'll be no way cities, local or bigger, statewide, can harass businesses. So let's hope you guys are successful in this, and encourage everybody to check you out at the websites and the Facebook. get those emails and send them out to the city council members.
Awesome.
Very
That's
good.
what we need to do. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you explaining this firsthand. I know a lot of times posts kind of get lost on the Facebook wall, but I think it's an important enough issue that people should hear about, especially locally, what's going on. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
This is what happens when you This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call when you all get shot.
I mean, it would be better from an auditory standpoint if both sides were working, and I'll figure that's a technical issue I'll figure out in this next week. I'll ask some people, but it is recording on both sides. But we tell the guests the headphones help keep distance, right? But it also helps you keep engaged in the conversation because they work as sound filters from the outside world. Mm-hmm. Everything that is in your world comes through this microphone, and the only thing comes through this microphone is right here. So right here. If we take off the headphones, then we get distracted and things are going on and we're answering phones and looking at this. So it really does help people stay engaged. I encourage people to keep headphones focused. On. But, some people just don't want to wear headphones. That's fine. So from this point, what would be happening is I would be chit-chatting with the guests, right? I would be doing build-up chit-chat. This is where we would already be recording. Here's the learning experience. When we go to a place, we'll have to make sure it's clear. So, for sure. So when we start recording, checklist, all that stuff. That chit-chat would normally then be used to look for a good nugget or two to start the show with, to start. Right. And I'll edit that in as kind of the beginning. So I'll be chit-chatting with the host, and then you'll basically be listening. This is where the third headphone's going to come in. You'll be on the third headphone, listening to the show for those volume levels, making sure it's recording, that it doesn't say card full and stop recording like happened to me a couple times, where I lost complete interviews because it stopped 15 minutes in and I didn't realize it, and then 45 minutes later, as I'm shaking the guy's hand to say goodbye, I look down and it stopped recording 30 minutes ago. So that kind of stuff. And also kind of looking at the environment. Is there anything that's making sound? Is there a fan blowing that we could turn off and that kind of stuff? And just kind of assisting in the general setup of the equipment production. So I would be chit-chatting with the guests. You would be kind of making sure that the equipment's all good. Right. Cords are out of the way. Good. And then you'd have your notebook, right, to start taking show notes, like just jotting down, started conversation with this, and this conversation changes and stuff. Just real quick one-liners, taking show notes. And then I would be well into a conversation with the guest by this point, wrap it up 30, 45 minutes later, and then we would just pack everything up, bring it back. I'll transfer it to my computer and start editing. And we'll go from there. Gotcha. So that's it. The beauty of editing and the beauty of doing a recorded podcast over a live podcast is that you can have all this in between time, right? And you can work stuff out. You don't have to be pre-scripted, and you can make it work in post, I think, more creatively than what you could live. I mean, to do stuff live, you have to have a big budget and a lot of people and people who know what they're doing. Oh, yeah. Because to do it live requires just such a second-by-second production of people and time and money, and to make it work in front of a live audience, there's so much resources you need, which is why I don't understand shows that say, hey, I just got an email from a lady yesterday that says she wants to start an internet radio station. If I'm interested in being on her radio station, I don't know. I already have an audience. I already have my own sponsors. I already have my own thing. Right. What's the advantage of going with a startup radio station? I don't know. These are the things I think about on a daily basis.
Maybe if you're just giving them a segment or something, I don't know. know.
Yeah, I would do that, like a drop-in segment, but to move my show to somebody else's platform.
I don't know about a move. You're better off, I think, to absolutely stay in with something you've been building.
Right.
And
my own
this is
business,
growing, and it's your thing.
If anything, I would want other people to join my network with their shows rather than me joining my show to somebody else's network. I need to start the network.
Yeah. Well, I think that's thinking bigger for sure.
I've just chit-chatted with you for a good 5 minutes with some conversation that's built up to a point. So at this point in a show, after about a good 5 minutes of chit-chat, knowing in my head I'm going to edit that down to maybe a minute or less, take the best of that last 5 minutes exchange of just kind of blah, 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 find the best minute, and then I'm going to go into a more formalized. So we're sitting here with a new member of the CCP community. I don't know if he wants to use his name or not, so we'll just call him Syndicates. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you. My turn.
It's your turn to talk. It's your turn to talk.
Excellent.
So CCP has been growing and changing over the last few weeks, months. People have maybe noticed that we've taken a couple weeks off. And yes, it is true, I did go on vacation, but it was not a vacation without work. I was actually plotting and planning and reformulating the show, coming back so I could bring a revamped CCP radio with some help. So a few weeks ago, I put out an announcement on Craigslist and Facebook and the social media looking for some co-producers, people to come on board to be part of this show. We're growing. We got a handful of sponsors. We got products to sell. We got content to get out there. And it's getting to the point where I can't do it by myself. So I put a Craigslist post out there and a gentleman contacted me. I mean, basically my post was about, hey, I need some people to work on a show that's an alternative type show about the cannabis industry.
Yep.
And this is what I'm doing. It grabbed your attention. We talked on the phone. We met up. We talked about it. We worked out some roles. We penned it to paper, although it was on the computer. So we typed it to the screen.
Yep, to the digital world.
And we're putting together a new form. We're ready to take on a new year. And you're going to participate in that. People may have noticed we have a new blog page up and going. You're going to be in charge of that initially. And then we'll kind of see where the roles go.
Hopefully more bloggers, who knows? Maybe we get to the point where we have
a team of bloggers working.
You need an editor to help take care of a team of bloggers covering all kinds of stuff.
How do you want to know yourself? How do you want to be called?
Well, currently, I guess the Syndicate is what I was able to pull on Facebook.
Okay.
So I think that's what I'm going to get. There's a Syndicate project, a Syndicate lounge, and they won't let me just pick Syndicate or Syndicate. Depends how you want to say it.
You need a unique spelling. You need like a rapper spelling.
Yeah, because it's the with capital THE, not a capital T and then regular HE and then capital S, so it's
somehow I think we might have to look for a different spelling of just Syndicate, because when you put the in front of something, especially if you're a person, right, it can make you, are you the Syndicate?
Well, exactly. So it's because we were actually chatting about that online, just
the game,
texting
like
away.
The rapper, right? The game.
Yeah, or I always remembered that old game called Syndicate.
Which game?
There was a video game called Syndicate that just had all kinds of kick butt stuff that you got to use in kind of a post-apocalyptic corporate world with, like all kinds of corporate mercenaries and all kinds of craziness going on.
You're dating yourself just a little.
Yeah, now you know the video games I grew up on.
I grew up on like, Battleship and Monopoly and, more traditional type games. So anything that is currently not in syndication is probably before my time. We're probably a generation off from each other.
Well, it depends. I played everything, but I was a video head early. I mean, I remember the very first video game.
You're talking about what plug into your TV type?
Yeah, like original Pong. Okay. Not even a controller. It had the dial.
Oh, the dial.
The dial.
A documentary I just watched on Netflix that's about first days of the video. I think it's called like Nintendo or something. It's about the beginning days from the 70s on up. Look for it. I forget what the name of it is, but look for like video game generation Nintendo, keyword that, and then there's a documentary I just watched. It was really interesting.
Cool.
So we're learning a little bit about you because you're gonna take over a content role of the show. So I guess we should know a little bit about you since you're gonna have a direction of where the blog page. And I call it the news blog page, and I want to keep those terms together. And there's a reason for that. I don't want to call it just a news page, and I don't want to call it just a blog.
Right.
I want to make sure it's representative of everything a blog is representative of, and everything a news source would be representative of. Combining those together. So I want to call it the Cannabis Community News, which is a news blog. That's the official domain, www.cannabiscommunitynews.com, and it is a member affiliation of CCP, Cannabis Community Project. We're all one big happy family here, growing, trying to do everything we can to represent the community, not just from business to patient, but in different media forms. We got the show, which will always be the base of what we do, the podcast here, but we're going to expand into text. We have a syndicate here and maybe some other individuals that will come on in that realm of things. We've already talked to Scoop. You guys know him. He just finished a video for the crowdfunding campaign,
which looks good.
So thank you to him for spending the number of hours he put together in relatively a short amount of time, 72 hours, more or less.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe less than 72 hours. But he put that together. Thank you to him. And who knows who else will come along. But this is how we grow the show. This is how we grow the Cannabis Community Project. Although many people have been correspondents and many people have worked in various parts on the show over the last year and a half, you're the first person to actually say you want to dedicate time exclusively on a daily basis to work as in partnership of the show, which makes you a little unique than everybody else who's been on the show before, because everybody else has been a contractor or independent contributor or somebody who was just a correspondent or doing a segment or two. Mm-hmm. But you're the first person to actually step up and say you want to be part of CCP. So let's learn a little bit about you. Why don't you start from the day you were born? No,
not really.
No, give us the bullet points. What's the quick and easy of what we should know about the person who's going to be, part of not just CCP, but more exclusively the news and blogging aspect of it for now.
Honestly, it's just I needed something to do. I've been sitting around a bit too much around the house and trying to get work as a network engineer, at least a low-level IT guy, having some difficulties. I've got 25 years in as being a cable guy. Rough economy, being a cable guy.
Cable guy like Jim Carrey movie style.
Sometimes I did a little. I've worked for like various broadcasters. The cable outfits. I'm not going to say anybody's name, but
cabling we only have one cable company here.
Yeah. Well, there used to be others way back in the day. Various names. But yeah, cable guying has always been kind of up and down. I do mostly phone and data network type stuff. All kinds of that type of teledatacom installation, but it's usually always tied to construction. So the construction industry is so up and down,
right,
and always tied to basically every darn recession that comes through. So
this is the type of work you've been doing since you left high school.
Past high school a ways. I went through college a little bit, did a crack at college and got out of there. I was going to the old Westwood College way back in the day, and they lost their accreditation, so I got out of there since they were no longer an accredited college.
Why did they lose their accreditation?
Old man Barnes died, and things just, the guy who owned the place.
Do people still have names like that?
Yes, the old man Barnes there. He was
it's like a Scooby-Doo episode.
Over. Yeah, but I think the kids started running the show and just ran it into the ground or something. I mean, I don't want to actually make any major claims because I don't know for sure, but basically things fell out for them. There were problems, and so I got out of there. But I got about an associate's level in applied business and computerized accounting, and applied that here or there, doing teledatacom and cabling, wiring, contracting, subcontracting, mostly subcontracting, working for a few people here and there. I want to just start doing it. If I'm not making any money, I at least want to apply myself to something that I'm interested in on an intern level, because everybody's got to make ends meet. You've got kids. I want to get a house again and get back on my feet and pay off student loans.
Well, that's basically why you're here. That's what we're doing, is we're trying to bring it to the next level by bringing more people in. You can't do everything by yourself.
No.
maybe some products, but not this type of product.
Yeah.
But you're here so we can basically figure it out and figure how we're going to bring it to the next levels. We've talked about the products and the sponsors. We've talked about the type of goals we're trying to meet. So at this point, I think we just need to actively promote the crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah.
To get money into that so we can use that money to take the show out to places.
Less janky connections. Let's buy a couple of new things,
Yeah.
You might need a couple of pairs a year or more, depending on how many interviews.
But that's where I think we should go with it. We should focus on generating content.
Yes.
Doing shows, taking those shows and translating it to written forms and video forms, and then taking the show out to places where products can be sold, sponsors can be acquired, memberships can be sold. The whole package of making it a full business.
Yeah,
and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to keep developing this on the blog page and throughout the show, and figuring out new and different segments so we can bring a more exciting and entertaining show, a more educational show. A show that has, just more
like the
people.
Educational thing too. I mean, I've been trying to push a little of that with the blog. I'm not trying to do anything. Hey man, we's not na.
Right.
I don't know. I like the whole not your son stoner show.
It's going to be part of the apparel. Those are going to be the phrases and stuff like grind and burn, not your son stoner show. So part of the CCP apparel line is going to have all these type of shirts, like the Tap Out brand.
Yep.
It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be grind and burn apparel with different phrases like that from the this is not your son's stoner show. Different phrases and lines from the show, and we'll sell shirts. And the shirts are pretty important, also, not just from an aesthetic standpoint, but 5% of all the shirt sales.
Thing.
Yeah, you just wrote a blog post this last week about it, highlighting the fact that every time we sell a shirt or a piece of clothing from the CCP store, that's a CCP item, 5% goes directly towards organizations like Grow for Vets and other types of organizations that directly support the cause of PTSD and vets or whoever, really. I don't know if you're not a vet and you're suffering from PTSD, you should be turned away.
Oh, anybody.
I don't think it should be exclusively for vets, but that's a good way to highlight the issue. But honestly, anybody that's suffering from PTSD, and there's organizations out there that are working with them, people don't know it, but there's handfuls of people committing suicide every day because of it, and the numbers seem to be going up. A lot of them
are vets.
Yeah, and the number seems to be going up, and there's not a lot of talk or research about it. One of the ways we thought we could make a contribution and kind of, make both parties gain something. I mean, charity is one thing, but charity can also be given with a mutual beneficial reason. We sell shirts that has our brand on it and gets our name out there in the world, and those organizations get money as a result of those sales.
Yep.
It's a win-win situation.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that draws people towards a cause and gives them a little bit of a rallying point, too. Just getting yourself out there and getting a cause going and recognizing stuff. Recognizing is really the big point. I'm actually kind of a little vegged right now.
Are you? How are you feeling? You just took some, what did you take? You just took a gummy.
Was it a mouse?
That was from Mouse's Edibles. That was a gummy that we split one. We split a 200 milligrams. So we took about 100 milligrams each of a gummy. What is your experience? This is the first time. Have we ever met before?
Yes.
What is your experience from this gummy? You've never taken a gummy before, right?
No. I've done, various edibles.
Right, but this specific brand that I just gave you.
I've never.
How long ago was it? Well, we did 40 minutes
40
pre-talk
minutes
before
now
we
it's been
erased
at least
it.
20 minutes? 30?
36. You have a good sense of time.
So, that's about the time it should kick in. After 45 minutes, to an hour, you should be kind of I felt it earlier, and it was kind of bingy, and then now it's kind of hitting the mellower stage.
That gummy makes that sugar. It's not like eating a pizza that's infused where you got to digest the whole pizza. The gummy is basically sugar, water.
It just diffuses and hits your system, and
then it's just
you.
It's made with pure keef. So it's going to give you a jolt.
It did.
It's going to give you.
But now that I'm kind of like settling into it, I'm like,
I told you I went
ride
on
it, man.
vacation.
Ride it.
I was at the Four Corners. I was at the Four Corners last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
On starting off my vacation, and the very first day of my vacation, I said, "Oh, I'm going to take one of these." I asked her to make them special strong for me.
Yep.
Because I wanted them just to be just a little over the peaking line, and I took a whole one at the Four Corners at like 12 noon. The sun was beating down 110 degrees. I literally got so disoriented in my time-spatial connection with the universe.
Yep.
I had to flee to my car and almost like a panicky run, lay the seat all the way back, and that's where I stayed for about 3.5 hours with about 20-30 minute intervals of turning on the car for the AC just to stay alive. All I could do was lift my arm out and just push the on button. But I was in a call, and that's when I said, "Whoa, these were made a little stronger than
done
expected."
that with my cookies. It's like, ooh. Don't get caught in the munchie loop either, with edibles. Don't do that. Those are not snacks.
Well,
I
think a lot of that actually comes from making heavy plant material based edibles.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when you smoke a lot, I tend to get more munchier. Versus doing concentrates. And when I do edibles, I do get more of the munchies. So you eat an edible, 150, 200 milligrams or up of a heavy CBD, and maybe you used an indica-based type strain on top of that.
Usually a hybrid, but I had one good indica. I made some out of.
Well, I have an open mota pot here. The next time, if you want to,
I'll give
make
that a shot. For
this
sure.
one's been open, so it can be used. Those ones are for demonstration only, but this one has been used before. This is the one I used to use to make my cookies with. I haven't made them in a while because I don't want to decarb here in mi casa because it stinks. You know?
Exactly.
That's why I suggested to the owner of this company that if there were a place that could decarb for you, where you could like send them your product, they decarbed in their commercialized ovens in their commercialized warehouse, sent you back your product decarbonized in a safe, secure, regulated way for a reasonable price. Well, I would do that, and then on a weekly basis, I would be making up my own cookies with the multipot.
Yeah.
But the actual barrier to this entry is the decarb process.
Yeah, or it'd be nice if you could get it into one process, like sometimes with my oils, if I really wanted to, I could just kind of let it evaporate the alcohol off without even using heat, like in a rice cooker, like I normally do. And then I usually finish it off in the oven. But when you finish it off in the oven, you can put it up to a temperature that it decarboxylates. So there's ways to do it, but it stinks. I mean, that's the one thing is every time I've done it, there's a certain smell, and I make sure that when I evaporate out my alcohol, I always do it outside so it basically dissipates so that there's no real problem. I worry about the neighbors maybe wondering if I'm moonshining, but no one's ever said anything.
All right, so I'm about to throw something on you unexpected because I'm going to put you on the spot. We're going to do a live call with an actual business owner to talk about the situation in Seattle. What's going on? So I just connected my phone. We're going to talk to him about this report that all the dispensaries were just shut down in Seattle.
Oh.
There was a report that came across, and this guy lives in Seattle, and he's with a business that tracks cannabis exchanges between dispensaries.
Hey, how you doing,
buddy.
man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good. Doing great.
Yeah? Where are you at?
I'm in Seattle. Right now I'm outside of my porch, but I'll probably go inside at some point, just make sure it's not too loud. But yeah, beautiful day, man. The sun shines here all the time. I don't know what people are talking about. Yeah, Washington's becoming a little more like California. California's becoming a little more like Arizona, and I don't think any of them are a good thing. So we'll see.
So you like it where you are? You're glad you moved?
Yeah, I really love Denver. It was a great place. Great place really to cut our teeth in this industry. And as you know, we still have connections there, and I'm back there often. But yeah, man, I am. I'm really excited about it. The Pacific Northwest, Cascadia, which will from Northern California up into southern British Columbia. Like, this is going to be a breadbasket, an epicenter of cannabis production as interstate and international commerce really opens up. So it's a great place to be. There's a lot of opportunity. And yeah, as you know, there's some upheaval in some of the more established, even if slightly less regulated markets.
What's your current status right now?
So still with CCX, we still with our Green Consulting Group. We get some license applications every once in a while. We did one. We helped complete one in New Mexico recently. We may have some Maryland work we're discussing, as well as some other. Otherwise we found some really great people to hook up with here because of people that we serendipitously met last summer as Mazi Armameni, my partner, and I were traveling around in Washington to really test the waters and see if we could do business here. We met a lot of really great people, and one or two of them especially, even one guy, Jedediah Haney, who lives with us now, in the central side of the state, on the east side, where there's a lot of pushback even to 502 compared to medical, where there's pushback there as well. There are people just trying, like in Colorado, to ban cannabis sales, cannabis production or processing within their either city limits or their county borders. And like in Colorado, there isn't the language there for them to do that. So it's interesting. But anyway, we've met great people. We're working on a formation committee. I'm part of a formation committee for an agricultural commission, an agricultural cannabis commission for the state of Washington. We've done a lot of work there. And yeah, I've helped some groups. Like I've done some work with a group called 22 Too Many, a veterans organization. And we've done a few other things that are really outstanding and wonderful here. And so life is good, man. No complaints.
Nice. Very nice. When I come up there someday and visit, I'll make sure to swing by.
Like that spot in Denver, so well. We're really close to I-5. We're really close to I-90. We have ways to get downtown or north of downtown. We're in South Seattle, but we have ways to get around without hitting the interstates if traffic's bad. It's really cool. We got a great space. At some point, I'll try to send you a list of like the who's who of the Washington cannabis industry that's been through our house. But because of its location, because of some of the things we do, a lot of people come through here, kind of like that office in Denver, Yeah. A lot of people come into our space, really powerful people doing really wonderful things in the industry. So it's been great, man. It's been a great experience so far.
So you've spent this whole year in the middle of everything cannabis there in Seattle, which is why I kind of reached out to you, because I saw this report come across the internet. I don't know exactly what the quote is, so let me just paraphrase it, that there's some problems going on with dispensaries being allowed to operate. Is this true?
I think the short answer would be yeah, and I do appreciate you reaching out to me. I love chatting with you, so thanks again. So the clarification, we've had a really intimate interaction. We live in Seattle. We know what's going on around the state of Washington. Again, this guy Jed I mentioned, he did some lobbying with some other people this past legislative session, which really just ended. It was a long session. It began in January and ended this summer. So I'm going to speak generally about what I know and what's going on, and I suggest we continue to flesh out this topic at times. And if you want, I can hook you up with people who may even be able to provide you some more even content specific details than I could. But Excellent. What I can tell you is that this past legislative session, the state of Washington, and signed by the governor, passed a bill that's now law. It was Senate Bill 5052. What that bill did was really, in essence, it kind of started the process of transitioning what we know of an old, starting in 1998, really developing over the last 5-6 years, really transitioning that old unregulated or much more deregulated, city licensing like we see in California, as opposed to statewide licensing like they did in Colorado in 2009. This law really seeks to transition that old system into a much more regulated 502 adult use system. There's two bits of rulemaking that are going to go on after the passing of law, and they're going to happen over this fall, something we should watch. And then I think by November, they're supposed to be finalized, so we should see what's up with them. But one of them goes through the Liquor Control Board, and it is to flesh out from the law the processes by which people who operate medical operations currently will have an opportunity, a very strict opportunity, but an opportunity to get licensed either as retailers of medical grade product, or potentially there's some production and processing opportunity too. The law is pretty bare about what it requires, but it does speak to a few factors like a date of operation, whether you paid your taxes, and one or two other things I can't name for you right now, sorry, but those factors are going to be determinative in this LCB, the Liquor and Cannabis Board, now named rulemaking process that's going to define the pathway for medical licensees to potentially participate in some type of quasi-adult use medical system under I-502. the other bit of rulemaking is potentially even more important in that pathway. I understand these businesses, it's big to understand how much of an opportunity there is for them to participate. What's happening on the other side is Department of Health rulemaking. And as far as I understand it, they have two main tasks. One, to define what is medical cannabis, something that's taking us years and years and years, and we may never be able to do. And two, what classifies and what type of products and what are the regulations behind the products that classify as medical grade products that can be sold in these stores, either existing 502 stores, so adult use stores that can get a medical grade license and they can sell and advise, I think, on some of these products, while also taking advantage of at least a sales tax-free purchase, though I'm not sure it's totally tax-free, and I think people will probably have problems with that along the way. Frankly, the Department of Health rulemaking is so important because the definition of medical cannabis is going to be really integral to what is allowed as medical cannabis products. What do we know of the future of medical cannabis in the state of Washington, at least for now? And I think it's going to define so much about who's going to be able to do business medically in Washington on the other side of this. With all that said, I think this is going to make the passage of this law, as well as a few other things that have happened to suspect outside of it, is going to make people have a really serious conversation here in Washington about what is the place and power of medical cannabis in their society. And they've had it in some form for a while. And I know there's people that find all kinds of therapy, go to shop that provide them all kinds of therapy. And, I really hope that those people can really be able to continue to seek that help and that other really quality providers of that help can continue to provide it. Last thing on all of this note.
Please. Yeah, no, absolutely. Because that's a lot of information to take in. And as you were laying it all out,
sorry, cut me off, man.
As you're laying it all out here, I'm thinking, how are people going to understand what's actually happening here? Because this is a pretty significant event. If it can happen there, I mean, my God, it could happen literally anywhere. And what a backstep to take. So it's kind of a scary situation that doesn't seem to be getting a lot of attention. So I'm glad you're able to bring it to light where it doesn't just get washed away on a Facebook post, where somebody sees it and then it's gone the next day. You're actually able to bring it out, but it's just shining light on the fact that it's complicated and so much. I think what I'm going to have to do is check back with you every week to give me a little nugget of digested what's going on so people can actually understand it.
Let me give you two, if they have to be parting thoughts for now, because it's a lot to digest, and that's fine too. The first thought is what's really happening here. At least as it relates to that article you posted, which for the audience, it's an article about specifically Seattle medical marijuana dispensaries being shut down. There's a guy that's part of an organization that I attend their meetings who gave us some insight kind of before that article came out about what was going on. And it was this. The city of Seattle has licensed to do business, about 100 businesses they had counted. And actually, by the time they started counting to, I think shortly after they stopped counting, 5 of those people shut themselves down. Then the city of Seattle, not to be confused with the production tiers for adult use, the city of Seattle created their own 3-tier system to shut down cannabis retailers. Here's what I understand of that tiered system is that sometime in July, right around now, or maybe just shortly after, they're going to shut down the first tier of businesses. Those are people, as I understand it, that were selling cannabis, people under 21. Now, I think that directive comes somewhere from a federal power potentially to the city of Seattle, and yet it's kind of problemsome because for the longest time, medical cannabis in Washington has been available to card holders who are 18 to 21. And so businesses who knew that was coming, I think, were stopping to sell to people under 21. The first tier are really people who sell to people under 21, even patient, and anyone who sells to anyone without a card, anyone not paying their taxes, anyone diverting either out of operation or out of state. I think that was tier 1, more or less. Tier 2, which would happen, I think, shortly after, would be anyone doing delivery, as I understood it, and anyone who was infringing, their products were infringing on existing trademarks of other businesses, whether inside or outside of the cannabis industry. The guy who told us this information didn't really go into tier 3, and I don't know, there may be more in that article than I can tell you now. But as I understand it, that's how it's going to work. And as I understand it, the best guesses are somewhere between 20 to 30 to maybe 50 of those 100 businesses are going to have a chance to apply for licenses, part of this LCB licensing process. And by July 1st of next year, 2016, they'll have to be licensed through that system. in order to keep operating. This is basically their window to scramble, get their ducks in a row, make sure they're not, in Seattle at least, make sure they're not violating those tiers, do good business, because people are going to be in their stores, I think, incognito, checking to see how they do business. And the other thing you got to understand about Washington is that as the city of Seattle goes, the rest of the state goes. So I think other cities, as we get closer to July of next year, we'll see more of these instituted, more zoning, banning, ordinances and other commission acts at the county level that will do things to, I think, start to regulate medical on a larger level. Last thought. Colorado really did. I have no value judgments on who's better, Colorado or Washington. I love both states. Colorado did itself a really big favor by licensing on the state level medical cannabis businesses on the state level again in 2009 or 10 or whenever that happened, a few years ago. That's important because, one, when federal prohibition goes away, it's going to be left up to the states first to enact and regulate. So that state licensing system was really important. It was extra important because when adult use came in Colorado, those were the first people who could apply for licenses. And they basically got what you could call a one-year monopoly, but it was basically they were the trusted people allowed to do business. And because of that, Colorado was able to start quicker and really have a smoother start, even though I think Washington had more forethought with the edibles and having to individually prove each of those products as opposed to just loose regulations. Regardless, Washington's medical businesses did not have that same does still not have that same statewide licensing through cities for business licenses. The taxes, it's vague to which ones you should pay and should not pay. Last note, in 2011, there was a chance, and the governor, I think, vetoed for more, I don't know all the reasons, I would imagine they're more political, but vetoed the best chance for that to happen before adult use came into play. And it didn't happen, and frankly, adult use started, people made money, and then instead of viewing the black market as their competition, they viewed the medical businesses, and they tried to shut them down. Some of those people may be doing good business, some may not, but they got attacked as a whole, and that's really what's happening here. And I mark my words, in places like Oregon and California, if those people don't watch what has happened in Washington closely on the medical side, they're going to make the same, in ways, a big mistake that Washington made. So I hope they're watching. There's a lot going on here. It's really something I can't explain to you even in 2 hours. But I would love to give you this much to digest for now and then come back to me in a week or two with questions, and we'll do this again, man. And
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to take you up on that. And you made the mistake of giving me your new cell phone number. So
I did. No, I want to talk to you, man. You're one of my favorites. Guys, audience is one of the best people I've met along the way throughout my cannabis time. It's really a joy to be around. Great work with this show. I think you're doing great stuff, man. So keep it up.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And it sounds like we'll be in touch very soon because I want to keep on top of this, and I want people to keep on top of this. This could be one of those silent little actions that, butterfly effect, that all of a sudden creates some bigger waves in the ocean somewhere. I appreciate your time.
It. Yes. Hey, no problem. Last thought on that one. Your timing is really perfect. This is the early parts of all this. It's going to happen over more or less the next year. So I can be your man on the ground. I want to hook you up with some great people who will also be on the ground, and we'll kind of try to keep you updated with what it at least looks to us like is potentially going to happen with rulemaking and what we think the future of all of this may hold. So happy to update you, man, and your audience. Yeah. All right. So your timing's perfect. We'll do it. All right.
You just nominated yourself. Josh Miller from CCX will be our man on the ground in Seattle, Washington. Give us your contact information, all your stuff.
Give me Josh at Canna Exchange, CANNA Exchange, EXCHANGE.com. Josh at CannaExchange.com. Hit me up with an email if you have any questions. We'll be happy to talk to you all.
Excellent. Very good. I appreciate it. Say hi to Moss out there, and
I will.
We'll be following up with you very soon.
Appreciate it, buddy. Hey, you too. Peace.
Good.
Well, there you go. That was Josh Miller from CCX and Green Consulting Group. Former sponsors, good friends. They actually were involved in the skunk box here that I just showed you as one of the products, right? But cool. Well, we'll be getting some updates on this situation. Let's keep on top of this news story from a news perspective.
That might be good to check.
We don't have to be Walter Cronkite or
Yeah, but I mean just to check up.
But
at
we
least,
don't have to be Peter Jennings either.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Checking up on as things come in. I'm sure he'll probably even be like, hey, guess what happens sometimes?
Yeah.
If he's
right. Well, he can report on what's going on, and then maybe you can regurgitate it and maybe find out some more stuff on the internet and put together some posts. Yeah. We'll keep you up on that. Were you able to catch the full understanding of it?
I would want to listen to that over. That's why you're talking about the editing process and why you definitely you might.
Thanks for listening to this week's show. Make sure to come back next week. We're going to have more guests lined up, speaking with dispensary owners, growers, business owners. Make sure to follow us on all of the social media, Facebook, Google+. You can listen to our shows live from the website or your preferred listening platform. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, even YouTube, all under the same name, CannabisCommunityProject.com. We'll see you next week. And what I saw the other day was a post on Facebook